All right, Dave, thanks for joining us. I'm really excited to chat with you. So I want to tell everybody, you're Dave Jacobson. You're a lawyer, right?
I am.
And you're the COO for Mint Physical Therapy.
That's right.
So tell us a little bit, before we dive into what you're doing with Mint, let's hear a little bit. What's your background in healthcare, maybe some healthcare you've received, physical therapy, or any other treatments?
Yeah. Professionally, I've had very little exposure to healthcare, but I've certainly needed healthcare. I've had all kinds of incidents in my youth and young adult years where I've experienced injuries and needed healthcare. Started out when I was a young boy, and I got a father who was mowing his lawn and hit a sprinkler head, a metal sprinkler head that went into my leg all the way to the bone. And I had to go to the hospital. They had to treat me there and get that repaired. And I still have scars from that today. But so I've needed healthcare a lot. I was just one of those kids that jumped off cliffs and did everything else.
While you're talking about cliffs, we have to talk about this.
Okay.
So we went to Hawaii.
Yes.
2 years ago almost.
That's right.
And there we went cliff diving.
We did.
Was that your idea?
It was my idea.
So really cool on the big island, right? Kona side.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going cliff diving, and we go out to jump off this area. And I think we may have taken a couple dives.
And I think they referred to that area as the edge of the world.
Yeah, the edge of the world. So we're diving off. Clint is just a beast.
Clint,
right?
My oldest son.
Your oldest son, he's the beast. We're jumping off, following his example. So then you go up top, like 10 yards higher, and it was inset, right? I don't know the words for that, but it's laid back, so you have to jump out. So we go up and we come up with you, and you do it. And Clint and Garrett, Jay, we're all just like, I don't know if I want to do this. And then who was it? Sierra? Sierra's like, well,
Sierra.
Dave did it. I have to do it, right? Were they engaged yet at that point?
They got engaged on that trip.
On that trip.
But not at that moment. They weren't officially engaged.
Yeah, so she didn't, they weren't engaged. So she's still trying to win you over, right?
That's right.
And so she did it. She jumped out, and I did it once, and I was like, that's enough. But everybody had to try to live up to you. So clearly you've got that edge.
I love high adventure, love taking risks. Yep, always
awesome.
have been there, always done that. But you live that kind of life, and it takes a toll on your body, and occasionally you need help getting back up. So yeah, I've had those experiences. And one of the real issues I've had throughout my life is issues with my back. I have had discs that begin to bulge, and I've been told that the discs are deteriorating, and so they become weakened and they bulge easy. And when I was in my 20s, in the 90s, I had a disc rupture and temporarily lost the ability to walk. It was only temporary.
Was it weakness or numbness, pain down your leg? What did you experience?
All of the above.
Okay.
It was numbness. It was and it was weakness. My legs didn't function.
Was it both of them or just one side?
It was my left side.
Okay.
On the left side.
Okay.
Anyway, I was able to kind of overcome that. I continued to have issues with my back, and so I sought some treatment. I tried chiropractic, which in some treatments felt good, but never really improved the situation. My back continued to have problems periodically. It would get worse, and I would try to take good care of it and listen to my body and act accordingly. But occasionally it would get bad, and on 2 additional occasions I had discs rupture. And
same levels or levels above and below? Same
levels.
Okay.
And always in the lower part of my back. And in about 2012, I began to have some serious pain in my back. Sciatica, my discs were clearly bulging. And so my neighbor just happened to be my doctor. And he was a good doctor. He'd done a great job for me and my children, and and my wife, and we all loved him. So trusted him quite a lot. So I went to him and shared with him what I was dealing with my back pain. And he began to, he was a DO, so he began giving me treatments. He did some manipulation, did some stretching, and it didn't help at all. As a matter of fact, a matter of days after a significant session with him, I had a disc rupture and I just never recovered from it. I couldn't get up. I once again lost the ability to walk, and I was in bed, and my neighbor, who was my doctor, who had provided me that treatment, he said, you need to see a neurologist. So I saw the neurologist. It was clear that I had to have surgery, and so I had surgery, where I had a discectomy and some laminectomy. And after that, my neurologist recommended that I see a physical therapist.
So this is after surgery?
This is after I had my surgery, because I wasn't walking before that.
Right. Do you remember what they did in the surgery? Like you said, laminectomy
and a discectomy.
Discectomy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
A discectomy and a laminectomy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For anybody who's listening in, that's removal of some of the bone tissue and some of the disc tissue to reduce that pressure on the nerves in that area.
Correct. The nerves, when it ruptured, the tissue impinged on my sciatic nerve, and
Yep.
and I couldn't feel my left leg. I couldn't feel my left glute all the way down to my left foot. It was all numb.
Isn't it amazing how heavy tissue is once you can't feel it? Like, and a lot of people will have had that experience even just with their face.
Yes.
When they get their teeth worked on.
Yes.
But your leg, you're like, man, this thing is a hefty thing when you don't have your own muscles to move it. It's pretty impressive.
It is. It is. Anyway, but I did eventually have the surgery. And after that, the discectomy and the laminectomy, which really is bone spurs, taking bone off.
Yep.
That's also causing problems. And I was able to walk again. I was able to walk right off the bat, but that didn't mean I didn't have any issues with my back. And so they recommended that I see a physical therapist. And that was my first experience with a physical therapist. And that experience was outstanding. I found it interesting that when I actually followed the program that my physical therapist provided for me, that I felt better. I had my better range of motion, better physical, ability to move, to lift things, to do the things that I normally do.
Well, and wrestle with your kids. So
which was a common occurrence.
That's pretty big. Even your wife, Kathy, wrestles with your kids, and she would beat them.
She doesn't anymore, but she dominated my boys for quite a long time, which was really a sore spot for them.
Yeah,
that was hard. That was hard for
them.
them.
Well, I remember. So I used to take on all three of them at the same time.
I remember.
And then I was interviewing for PT school. Came up to Oregon, stayed with you guys while I interviewed at a school up there, and I was like, let's go for the easiest one first, right? Like Garrett's the youngest. And he beat me. I was like, oh boy, this is not a good start. And Kobe beat me 1-on-1, and everybody just took me out, right? And then I can't remember I think Aunt Kathy, right after that, wrestled with Garrett and beat him. And I was like, dang it. So I felt pretty bad about it. But I missed the days when I could take on all three of them at the same time.
Well, Kathy got in a lot of wrestling. She was well practiced by the time that rolled around. So
there's a lot to wrestling, just understanding using their body weight against them and things that I never learned.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun. So I'm glad you're able to get back to that. What other things did you learn from physical therapy? Did you see it change maybe how you approached injuries in the future or anything like that?
Yeah, I had a lot of misconceptions about what stretching can and cannot do for me. I had a lot of misconceptions about the directional stretching. Like sometimes I felt like I needed to stretch my back forward, and sometimes I realized no, I need to go the other direction. And so there were I learned that there's a lot for me to learn. I learned that while I had worked out throughout my life, I had been very physically active. I thought I knew my body really well. that there were just a lot of things about how to correct the ills of my body that I just did not understand. And so I learned that I don't know, that there's a lot I don't know, and that there are places I can go that can teach me those things.
Yeah, and the mechanics of the body, how it moves, is complicated, and there's some things that are instinctual, right? But one of the biggest things I've seen with that type of injury, that back pain, especially bulging discs or nerves that are pinched, that your instinct is to go away from pain, right? And
That's
sometimes the treatment to fix it is actually going into that pain. So you touch the pain and you come off, and then you touch it again and you come off, and you're helping that disc to come off of the nerve and reduce that pressure. It's really fascinating to learn the mechanics of it. A lot of what we got to do is instinctual, and as you're playing sports, you got to learn hand-eye coordination or anything like that. But even in sports, that's why they have coaches, because they're like, the way that you're instinctually doing this is way inefficient. You need to change, right?
Yes.
And so that's fascinating that you found that not in the sport, but even just in your own life.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was very clear. When I mentioned that before I had that last disc rupture, that I had seen my neighbor who was my doctor, and that's what he had been stretching that forward as opposed to the other direction. And I learned after the fact that was making it worse, not better.
Yeah. Those are called McKenzie concepts. I don't know if we've talked about that yet, but there's this doctor. He actually got knighted by the Queen of England.
Wow.
Because of him discovering this. And he actually discovered it on accident. He told he had a bed. He's a physical therapist. So he had this bed and it was tilted up. And he told this patient, hey, go in, lay down on the bed. I'll be in just a second. And it was tilted up, and the patient's normally it's flat, and he just laid down on it. So he laid down on it, and it put him into this extended position. And the doctor came in, he's like, oh, but he didn't say anything. He goes, how are you feeling? He's like, amazing. My pain's 100% gone. He had not been able to make any progress. That's how he discovered this. And he started researching it and figured out these directional patterns to actually fix the problem. It's pretty fascinating.
Not instinctual.
No, not at all. I mean, who goes and lays face down on an extended bed? So last thing I want to ask you about, so you've joined the Mint Physical Therapy team. What drew you to that? And then what value do you see yourself adding? I mean, like you said, you don't have a background in medicine, but you do have a background in being a lawyer and understanding a lot of the complicated things with that in business. But what drew you to that, or what value do you see yourself adding?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that really kind of ingratiates me to this industry is the fact that it has done so much for me. I mean, it has taught me a lot about how to take care of myself, and helped me in recovery, not just with my back. I've had issues with my shoulders, and I've had issues with a knee, and I've had issues with hamstring. And when I've had those issues, ever since the experience I had with my back, one of the primary places I go is to a physical therapist. And so I know the benefits that come from competent physical therapy. And so I love the idea of being involved with a company that provides that kind of benefit to people. And I just happen to know some people in the industry. And it's an opportunity to work with people I really enjoy, and an opportunity to work in an industry that I just feel does a lot of good. I see us growing this kind of business in such a way that we bring in really good people to do a really good job taking care of good people, and just making that grow, spreading that to within our communities, more and more people being able to receive the benefits of physical therapy within our communities, but then getting out into new communities and sharing that same expertise and kind of the same culture and quality that comes with a business like this that I really believe in.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing that message, telling people about your background in healthcare. There's a lot for people to experience. So one of the fun stats is that in 2020, only 7% of people with a musculoskeletal injury saw a physical therapist. 7%. 93% didn't. there's a lot of people who I see, and my first question is like, have you been to physical therapy before? Because I want to know, like, where are we at? Are we on level 1, or do you have some background in this? Most people, I don't even know what PTs do. So it's a message we need to get out there and let people know physical therapist is the musculoskeletal science. So if you're injured, come and see us.
Agreed.
It's awesome. Well, thank you. Last question we ask everybody is, what does the mint condition mean to you? So if you think about that term, mint condition, what first comes to mind?
It means with the body that God's given me and the circumstances in my lives right now, it's having my body in the very best place it can be based on what God's given me and my current circumstances in life.
I love that. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.